Laker fans. Happy New Year's, Laker fans. I hope you guys had a wonderful day to start 2021. And Lakers faced Spurs in back-to-back road games. And we come up with the victory, which was very close game, in my opinion. The game was a seesaw battle until the end. And the Lakers defeat the Spurs 109-83. I'd like to talk about a lot of players tonight, especially LeBron James, Anthony Davis, the star power alive tonight's game. LeBron James ended with 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. He records his first triple-double of the season. Congratulations, King. Anthony Davis, after the two lackluster efforts against Portland and the San Antonio, he put up a huge number, 34 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 13 for 26. Very efficient. We saw a great AD on both ends. He was very active from the start, and he provided a much-needed offensive power in the fourth quarter. When we were down most of the time in the fourth quarter, we were able to come back the game because AD was making that huge play, making threes, and making defensive effort. Pretty much he did everything to make sure that we come up with the victory. I'll be talking about more some other players, but also I'd like to say quick and fast recovery to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He got injured during the third quarter when he was driving to the basket and he twisted his ankle. Said it's a mild left ankle sprain, and he's likely to miss a couple weeks from now. So we'll have to play without KCP, and Wesley Matthews is most likely going to be in the starting lineup to replace the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for the wing 3 and D. But he'll be missed. He's a very big part of our team, our core. He played really well in the bubble time, and definitely going to miss his presence on the court. So please recover well and come back safely, and we'll be waiting for you. And there's one more guy that I would like to talk is Kyle Kuzma. He is not really put up a pretty number tonight. If you look at his score, it's 11 points. And he had one of the lowest margin of the team. It's actually the only two players that has minus margin in the team. He made one clutch play in the fourth quarter that gave us the lead. Other than that, I would have to say it's been disappointing. For Kyle Kuzma, has not been playing well for the past 3 games. He looks like he's lost out of rhythm. We still give him a chance to play. He played 23 minutes tonight. He committed 5 fouls, which was most of the foul was unnecessary. This is picking up some foul that's offensive foul with driving to the basket. Still unable to control his body balance, and it's fall on other players. And then the other players draw the charge, and it's happening many times during his career. He still make the same mistakes, not learn from that mistake. I think Kyle Kuzma still need to grow as a player, but his BQ has to grow more. His defense, he's trying hard on his defensive end, but still indecisive most of the time, making critical mistake on defensive end, giving other team a chance, to score. A lot of boneheaded plays, in my opinion. So that has to do with the defense, most like understanding the defense. And he doesn't have that understanding, the clear understanding of defense. Darren Schroeder played well. He put up 15 points. He provided the necessary score he's been very consistent. He's the only guy, the new guys that's been consistent. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Montreal's O'Harrell. He's been a little disappointment, but in my opinion, he's not getting much role. We're using him in a rotation player, but we're not giving him enough like a setup plays or play for him to be effective on the floor. All he does is demand the ball inside, try to score in the paint, but he tries to do too much. Sometimes it's just, not making the right play, just forcing himself to fit in the rotation right now. It doesn't look like it's natural that he's on the floor. So it's going to take a time. I think Purple&Gold has to really think about how to set up, how to make the Montreal Herald effective on the lineup. And that's the key for our success this season, because we need to use Herald more effectively. Like, he's deadly. He's a really dangerous guy on the floor, because when he can score easily, he got variety of footwork and like a post-up skill. He got mid-range jumper. But if you just use him as an ISO player, it's not going to be very effective. So I hope the Purple&Gold figures that out as soon as possible, so that he'll be more effective on the court. What did you think about Marc Gasol's effort tonight? On the record, he has 0 points, but he had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. So even he didn't score the basket tonight, because he's almost averaging like 5 points, 4 rebounds, the career low, the lowest on his career in terms of his statistics. But he still try to try to set up plays for teammates and try to recover on defense. Still tries hard. I give him a little effort on effort. On effort wise, he's trying, but his body is not young anymore. It's hard for him to catch up with other players, and just. What's good, Joel, man? It's good to see you come on a live stream. Just starting up 2021 on a good note. So yeah, just talking about the game that just ended, and the Lakers won 109 to 103. And I was just crazy about Kyle Kuzma's effort. It's not been very effective tonight. He picked up 5 fouls in 23 minutes, and although he made the clutch plays, like he gave us the lead at the end, I give him an effort for that, but just that he's not being very consistent this season. Other than like one game, he put up like 20 points because he started in replacement of Anthony Davis. After that game, he's been non-existent. So I don't know where Kyle Kuzma that we used to know is gone. But I hope that he, finds his role as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will lose some minutes, because we got a lot of talented players who can put up good numbers. Like THT deserves some more minutes. When he's on the floor, he's very effective. He tried to be aggressive on defense. He tried to drive to the basket every time, try to draw a foul. But he made some unquestionable shot tonight. But that's because he doesn't have much experience. The experience comes with that. So what did you think about the overall team effort tonight? Like, we started our game slow. It was 6-0, the Spurs, and then, usually we were down most of the time after the third. I thought we were going to lose. Honestly, if it wasn't for AD and LeBron James providing that offense, I think we would have lost this game. The Spurs looked like they wanted not to take 2 games in a row from us. They looked like they were a more desperate team. They played with more energy, and the communication was better. The ball movement was more smoother, and they shot the three really well. Especially Keldon Johnson, like this guy, it looks like he's like a jewel in the making. Yeah, Popovich is very well known for finding these like unknown player into a star caliber. I mean, that's what San Antonio's been doing for many years, right? Their scouting report is excellent. You know, when they found the Kawhi Leonard, like they traded him for George Hill, but nobody knew that Kawhi's going to be that good. Kawhi, like they knew his potential in defense because you know when he was playing for the San Diego University, he was known as a defender, like 3-and-D guy who could lock down other offensive player. So they knew that he was capable of becoming the defensive player of the year, but they didn't think about his offensive skill. But now look at how he's developed as a player now. He's like he's great on both ends. Like there's not many players like that turns out. So San Antonio Spurs is very well known for giving a lot of young unknown player a chance, and they blossom into a star. And Manu Ginobili, like he was picked in the second round, and Tony Parker as well. You look at the Spurs history, there are not many players that were picked like not in the first round, but they still, develop into really nice player, like all-star caliber. That is easy to do if you don't have a nice scout and then, the coach's eye. So Spurs, like, they still have a bright future. Even I think they have a lot of young guys that's it's going to be very good. Like DeJounte Murray, he can be good on both ends, good defender, and he can score now. He needs to develop his shooting. He's still not reliable like mid-range shooter or three-point shooter, but every year I see his improvements. I think he could be a really good player in the long time. So Lakers are facing Memphis Grizzlies in the next two games. And my prediction is they're gonna beat the both game. They're gonna come up with 6-2 after the road trip. It's a 4-game road trip. They're playing Memphis in both time on Sunday and Tuesday. And when Memphis is without Ja Morant, their ace scorer, he's gonna be out for a couple of months at least because he had a serious injury last week. Yeah, there's no Ja Morant. Ja Morant is like he's starting to become like all-star player this year. They came up with 40 points in the first game. I was very surprised to see. I didn't think it was that explosive, but he reminded me of like a young Westbrook. When Westbrook was very explosive and then he was getting to the lane at ease, like his drawing foul. Westbrook is more all-rounder because he can really put up stats quick. See, talk about Westbrook. He recorded a 4th straight triple-double. It's never been done in Washington. Like never been done since Oscar Robertson. It's crazy. That's what the Westbrook is. But I don't think Jamaran is like that. He's a better. I think he could be a really good scorer. And he's more like a dual guard, not like a pure point guard. He doesn't have ability like Chris Paul and Steve Nash and Jason Kidd type, but he can be combo. So like he can play in 1 and 2 at the same time. So he can be very effective on both ends. And he need to work on his 3-point. I think that's the task that he has. He's still not a reliable shooter. Like I know that Zion Williamson is also like that. Zion Williams is so dominant in the paint, like literally no one can stop him when he's close to the paint. It reminds me of like young Shaq days, or like he's not as big as Shaq, but like he's really strong. Like I remember like in the off season when the Pelicans had an interview with Zion and he was talking about Steven Adams was really strong, and then Steven Adams replied back saying that Zion Williams is also this one of the strongest he's ever seen. So that's how, if Steven Adams compliment about your strength, then that says something. It's really strong. Like you can tell, like most of the players who try to defend him, it's just like they bump it up. Yeah, I remember like a young Shaq, like prime Shaq. It was just used to bump on everyone. It's just like they would just either call block or even call offensive foul. And also, what do you think about the New Jersey so far? They are a very good team, but I think as far as their teamwork and their talent, it depends really on these two, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving's performance. Yeah, Steven Adams like super soldier. Did you know that Steven Adams' sister used to be Olympian? Yeah, she used to compete for the Olympics. And I think his sister is even stronger than him. If you look at her, Steven Adams' sister, like you search Google, you see how buff she look. She looked like a female version of Steven Adams. I don't think he could have messed with his sister. Maybe when he was young, probably sister. He used to get beat up by his sister. That's how he became a tough guy. Yeah, that's how crazy. Like his family is very genetic. Like I know Steven Adams is from New Zealand, and he's from I think he's from the tribe, like what is it called, Polynesian. So yeah, those guys are usually big, right? If you look at Samoans, like Hawaiian Samoans, they're big. Like you look at The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, he's naturally big, right? So I think it's come with the genes and their ancestors are like that big. Maori, yeah. Maori's like, I guess I don't know what country the tribes they're in. They're just naturally big and strong. Of course, Steven Adams work out too, so it's probably build more muscle. When he was I remember when he was a rookie, he wasn't that big. He was still thick. He had thick bones, but he wasn't like a buff like right now. But maybe because he trained hard over the years, he's got more stronger. I think he could have been a wrestler. Like in my opinion, if he was a basketball player, he could have been a wrestler, like a professional wrestler. He could have dominated the WWE. Yeah. So what's your take on the other games so far? Like I know Dallas Mavericks beat the Miami Heat tonight. Luka Doncic, I don't know if you remember seeing him got frustrated and he kicked the camera. I don't know if he broke the advertisement board or something. Maybe he's gonna get fined for that. But he showed that frustration because I remember that play where he got hit on the head. The referee didn't even call foul, so he got really frustrated. Because there are many times like Doncic feel like he's treated not equally in terms of getting a call. I don't know if it has to do with being a European, but there is something like racial. I don't know if it's gonna take it to the racial equality or anything like that, but like they're getting treated a little unfairly. Like I remember Yao Ming didn't used to get much foul call, even they were hacking him every time, and he almost gave up. Like he never complained about the call because he thought it's just there's nothing that he could do. It's just sad that how NBA's turn up like that. I mean, sometimes I look at the refs and it's just it's not fair how they're trained or like how they treat players. Like even you accidentally push them or like throw the ball not directly at them, but it hits their body parts. They call it technical. It happens. It's really not fair for some players. Like they still need to show that frustration, but they're not showing that directly to the ref. But still, ref thinks like they're taking that offensively. They're very sensitive. I think the NBA refs are being like sissy. They didn't used to be like that. I don't know how they trained. I mean, maybe it's the way how they train them nowadays. But before like 90s era, ref was used to be more tough. They would not just call on stupid shot fouls, because right now we have the hand check rules. Every touch is a foul, man. Damn, like it irritates me sometimes. I'm watching like when I watch 90s video, and I see a foul that's being called these days are not being called there. That's why Shaq says this era is soft. He did that on purpose, of course, but I think he really meant it when when he said it. Yeah, even Dirk Nowitzki was sometimes was frustrated with ref because he's like nicest guy you ever know. He barely gets frustrated. When he gets frustrated, that means he's really pissed. Yeah. So how refs are treating players like the European, especially like Asian-born players or like someone other than Americans, they call foul. They don't usually give you beneficial on calls. But look at the guy like James Harden getting called every freaking play. Like he put up a hands, he did it on purpose. When he shoots the ball, he usually try to initiate, to try to touch other players' hands. It looked like the other players are touching him on purpose, but it's actually the James Harden initiated contact, and the referee thinks that it's the other players actually fouling James Harden, and he's smart like that. But I just don't appreciate how James Harden plays. He's trying to get cheap calls every time. That's how he put up that much numbers. In Jordan and Kobe like days when they're playing a ball, those calls were like just phantom calls. Like the referee didn't even bother calling that. Especially Jordan days, like hey, someone touching your hand, like that's not even a foul. Because before the hand checking wasn't allowed. Was allowed, right? So now it's hand checking is not allowed. It's like because if you're touching the players, like you're just getting called every time. Yeah, damn, like Shaq in this era, like my boy Joanna said, he would have got called every single time. He would have shot like 30 free throws per game if he's playing in the modern days. So when he joked about he's gonna average like 40 points or 50 points every single game, I don't think it's a joke. He could have done that. Yeah, I mean the rules these days is so soft. Like even I'm like I didn't grow up watching 90s days basketball, but I grew up in the 20s. I'm in 2000. 2010 is probably when NBA started to get soft. When I don't know the hand checking rule applied. Even Kobe's days, yeah, there's some hand checking rule was there, but it's not as much as nowadays. They allow just a minor contact and wouldn't call a foul nowadays. And I don't know if it's just me frustrated with the LeBron not getting a call. Like he's too big. I know that he's big and he's too strong. But like the most of the time I see LeBron drive to the lane or try to draw a foul or like the basket count, they don't give him a call. Like I remember a couple of times that even today's game, like he was keep complaining to referee about not getting a call, not getting a consistent call. They'll only call him when they see that there's someone like holding his body or like grabbing his arm, like extreme foul, right? But just like touching slightly on his hand, slightly on his head, they don't call it. Maybe they just pretend they didn't see it. But yeah, I understand why LeBron is frustrated with not getting a call. Those like inconsistent call and referee, it's mind-boggling. Like I'm frustrated every time I watch the game. Especially just on LeBron, I think he's just too powerful. It's really difficult for a referee to give a foul call every time, because every time you drive to the lane, there's got to be someone who the contact has to happen. Because without someone contesting his shot or grabbing his arm, he will score every time. But that's not his fault, right? He's just strong. It's just that's how he is. But the rules are rule. You need to call it, foul equally on every player, not just on one guy, like a James Harden. And how did you think about the Lakers' performance so far? They're now in the 4-2, so they played the first 6 game. And how would you grade LeBron, AD, and the new guys? I think Zion Williamson, like he looked like he lost a little weight during the offseason. Because he hired a right trainer to work on his body, and like he's all maintaining his body balance and his weight. I think he could have lost more weight. He looks a little more thick, still a little thick. He could have done better on his conditioning, but he probably didn't have enough time to really work on his body, like after the bubble, because the team was in the bubble, but of course they didn't make the playoffs. But still, I mean, the bubble was pretty short, and then the season between end of bubble and the season, most of the players didn't have enough time to prepare for the new season. So maybe that's just an excuse, I know, but he could have lost some weight. I mean, it's still risky with injury. I think when he lands on every time, he looks like he's gonna get injured. I mean, he needs to work on his body balance. So he needs to land with both feet, not just one feet, because that's when he gets injured easily. When your lower body is pretty much heavier than the upper body. Well, I mean, the upper body is more heavier than lower body. That's when you get injured easily. So, what did you think about the X factor of the tonight? I mean, obviously the game. It was unfortunate that KCP got injured, and he was carried to the locker room. He couldn't even walk by himself. It looked a little severe. It says mild ankle sprain. He'll be out for a while. I think maybe a couple weeks. Because his ankle sprain is not as serious as a hamstring or a calf hamstring or like Achilles, But still, like KCP, he gets injured easily. I think he missed a couple games last season due to injury as well. So his ankle is pretty weak. Yeah, Lakers are number 1 in overall standing right now in the NBA standing. There's no undefeated teams. Like Orlando was 4-0, and then they lost last night. So I think I haven't seen any NBA season where the teams, it looks very evenly matched. Like even Western Conference, Eastern Conference, there's no like a definite favorite at the moment. Everyone looks like they can compete with each other. Like I was surprised that Cleveland, Orlando had started with 3-0 and 4-0, but eventually they're gonna go down. I think the schedule has to do with it, with their record. I think Lakers will eventually could go on a 5 more game winning streak, even like starting with tonight, because they're on a 2-game winning streak now. They can win next 2 games, and they could probably win another, so it could go on a 5-game winning streak. We'll see how well they'll play as a unit. Like after 10 game, that's when you can kind of evaluate their pretty much their like how far they can go into the regular season. Basically, they still haven't shown that they could play together as a unit. They still haven't given us the enough like consistent plays like every single night to show that they belong in the top 1 or 2 in the league. Well, they're still talented. I mean, there's no question that they could have the best record in the NBA. But I think the Clippers are also, playing well. Yeah, they still need more games to find out if they can gel together. Like I see a couple of players are still not fit into the system, like especially Montreal Harrell. Like Dennis Schroeder, he's in the starting lineup for almost the whole season. I think he was in starting line from the day one. So he's starting to fit into that to that starting role. But Montreal's Harrell's not getting enough playing time. Also, there's not many setup plays for him. Like he looks like he's the only lone guy trying to fit into the rotation. Frank Vogel has to provide a better setup for Montreal Harrell and make it more effective on the floor. Maybe try to plan more 2-man game between Harrell and the Schroeder when they're on the floor together. That's how you can use Montreal Harrell more effectively. Because when he did with Clippers, with Lou Williams, it was very effective. He almost scored like 19 points, and he was voted as a 6th man of the year. That's the type of guy we want to see in the Lakers. And that's the type of guy we got it for a trade. And he hasn't shown that. And we know that he can score. But scoring is not just the things that we want to see from him. We want to see him being more aggressive on the board. I know Harrell is not the type of guy you can rely on defense because he's pretty short. He's short for a big guy, and he doesn't have a great understanding of defense. Like you saw a couple plays today where I don't know. I don't remember it was a Rudy Gay or some guy who tried to fake pump a couple times. He got fouled for that, and that's a very like a silly foul. If someone who can play defense, they don't foul for that usually. But it looks like he's maybe BQ has to do with it. Maybe low BQ. I don't think Harrell has a high BQ. Like he does what he does, but he's not smart. When he makes plays, he's not thinking too carefully. Like how Kuzma, same thing. Kuzma thinks the more Kuzma thinks, he makes more mistakes. So that's how it is. So, like, definitely, Harold has to improve on his BQ and improve on his defensive reading, defensive like scheme. So he's not known for defensive guys. That's not why we got him for. And how did you find about Wesley Matthews? Do you think he's fitting with the team? Tonight he's after he put up 18 points last game, was shooting 6 for 6. He was 0 points, 0 and 2 from the field. Wow. And picked up 3 foul, 0 for 2 in 25 minutes. That is pretty low, lackluster effort. Yeah, I mean, it's not very consistent. I mean, he's putting up numbers like even a guy who's come off the bench playing for just 10 minutes, but he played 25 minutes. So he did okay on defense. Like I saw a couple of plays tonight where he was helping on defense. He was switching and he was forcing a turnover for the other team. Those kind of things I give him a really positive sign. But he's very reluctant to shoot. Like last game, he was shooting with more confidence, or maybe his legs are getting onto him. But we do expect to see him be more consistent on both ends. We do expect that he put up at least like 5 or 8 points every single night. So give us like 2 3-pointer. Just a couple points to spark off the bench, right? Like I don't think we have enough bench production this season. Like we were expecting more points from the bench. I think that's why we need a shooter to come off the bench because he's the only guy who's capable of putting 15 to 20 points, like easily. He's averaging like 17 points, but as a starter. But when he comes off the bench, he still can provide the same kind of point production. And that's how we can be reliable on bench, how we can dominate other teams' bench scoring. Because we score like how many? It was 31 to 21 on the bench. And that's not enough. All right, Joe. See you tomorrow. See you Sunday, huh? What time? So Dennis Schroeder just, I think, in my opinion, he belongs. He needs to come up the bench. He give us much needed the bench points. Like past couple games, we've not been scoring much from the bench. We got outscored 2 straight times on the bench. And the Portland, remember, is a 3 straight now, because Portland they killed us from the bench. Remember Gary Trent Jr. put up 28 points. See, that's how he's effective coming off the bench and providing that spark. We don't have that guy that from the bench right now. And I think Dennis Schroeder can be that guy. He's the guy who can put up a quick number and try to make us stay in the game. Whenever we're trying to come back down 2, down 5, Dennis Schroeder can do that. He can make the quick 3, give us a 2-point deficit, and then try to get us stopped and can tie the game, sort of things like that. I think Frank Bobo has to think very careful about putting Schroeder off on the bench. We were expecting that Kuzma and Harrell would do that, and so far, it's been disappointing. Harrell in the last 2 games pretty much was non-existent. Like Montreal scored 0 points tonight, even though he grabbed 11 rebounds, 23 minutes. He shot only 6 times. Well, 6 times is not a problem. He doesn't have to shoot that many to be effective. But thing is, he need to score. He need to be efficient, more efficient when he's scoring. He can't just go 0 points in one game and 20 points in the other. We need to see the consistency from Harrell and Kuzma. Like Kuzma, yeah, I'm just a little bit tired of talking about Kuzma right now. It's just I did say a lot of things that he needs to work on, especially on defensive end, not making those silly fouls, not picking up those fouls that's not needed, and giving the other team a momentum swing. Those kind of things. We don't expect Kuzma to put up 20 points every night. We just want him to be more effective on the floor. Try to do things to make the team win. Not picking up 5 fouls in 23 minutes, and then you'll be benched for until the fourth quarter. Well, although he made that clutch play, before that, it was like, I'm pretty sure a lot of Laker fans are bashing continuously about Kuzma. And I've been doing that like since last season. That's how Kyle Kuzma's been like. He's never that guy that we praise every time. Not like Anthony Davis, LeBron type. But of course, he's not as talented as those two. But we expect him to be at least third and fourth option, like reliable guy who we do not criticize every single game. And now he got paid a big money. We expect him to provide better number, but compared to last season, not so much. First 3 games he played well. Like he was averaging like 14 points on just 23 minutes. That's efficient, right? Since that, what do you call it, Minnesota game, it's almost non-existent. So that was my thought for tonight's game and the overall thought of the whole, like the league, how the leagues are trending. The regular season has just been, Lakers only just played the 6 games, and I've not been very satisfied with their effort. The records is okay. 4-2 is not a bad record in first 6 games. It's more to do with their effort on defense and their communication, the ball movements, and their just energy level. Every single time, they don't look like they want to win every game. They don't come out strong in the beginning. They fall behind and they do catch-up game again. That was we've seen that last season, and it's happening again. And we expect it to be a little bit better since we got a much better lineup than last season. Although we lost the size, we expect Lakers to struggle a little bit in protecting the paint. And that's been happening against Spurs the past two games. All right. I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll come back with another post-game live talk on Sunday. Bye. Peace out.